Ladies and gentlemen, we are marching on here, marching on to maybe one of the biggest wrestling events of the year. Forget about WrestleMania, forget about Forbidden Door, Double or Nothing, Impact Slammiversary, you name them, forget about them. Our guest here, once again, who's back by popular demand, he is going to be a huge part of things coming up at Wrestlebration 13 for our very good friends over at UKW. And well, he's actually putting his mask on the line here in order to get his first victory. So I'm not quite sure what the thinking was here about it. We'll get his story on that, plus much, much more. And of course, talk about our very dear friends over at Nonstop Action Wrestling, who have their own event coming up here on August the 13th. And our other very dear friends, that is GT Ministries. And well, he was a part of things a couple of weeks ago at Chronicles and Ready to Rumble. So a lot to get into here when it comes to our very, very dear friend. So with further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one, Global Sports Show pro wrestling star here, Egypt's favorite wrestler and Mr. Friday Night. That's Young Horus. How are you, my friend?
That's terrific, Tom. It is great to hear from you again, to see you again. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks, buddy. How are you today?
Well, I'm definitely doing good. Let's see, though, how my voice holds up over the next hour or so. That'll be the big question here. But as famously, there was a singer, Ronnie James Dio, whose birthday was last week, and he was famously quoted. They would say, "Oh, well, how would you get ready for a show?" And he would just say, "Well, I would just get out and do it. That's kind of what I do. I don't do any warm-ups, no nothing. I just get out there and do it. Just have a big gulp or a soda, and that's kind of the gist of it." But that's here nor there, my friend. It is good to be with you here. We have a number of comments. We'll get to them here shortly. But, I mean, I want to talk about Wrestlebration 13, arguably one of the biggest events of the year, especially in the UK and all of professional wrestling. And you were obviously looking to finally break that streak that certainly we have spoke about over and over and over. And I'm almost so perplexed because you're obviously, in order to get this first victory, you've put the mask on the line here. I mean, you're going up against Bishop. Obviously, we saw what happened most recently on UKW TV. But for those that are watching and listening to this on Sportswire Radio, my friend, I mean, what's going on here? If you don't win, with no more mask, I mean, what's happening here?
Well, to tell you the truth, Tom, I didn't want to have to put the mask on the line. But it felt like after what Bishop did to me week after week, he's attacked me several times after I've had matches. So when I'm vulnerable, not when I'm waiting for him, not when I've called him out. No, he's waited until mid-match, attacked me from behind. He actually ripped my mask off at one point.
I saw that.
Yeah, everybody saw that. And that is some disrespect beyond even the likes of Cayman Carlisle.
That's saying something. If you just said that, it's even more disrespectful than Cayman Carlisle.
It is.
That's coming from you, my friend. Big
Cayman
word.
can put me in the hospital. I mean, Bishop can put me in the hospital as well. But Cayman never touched the mask. Cayman teased it. He twisted my face a couple of times, but he didn't ever rip the mask off me. And that's just complete disrespect. You never take the mask off of a masked wrestler.
No way.
It's there's a tradition behind a mask, and I wouldn't consider myself, your traditional Mexican-style luchador wrestler. But I understand the meaning behind a mask. And to have it taken off, it's just the biggest form of disrespect you could possibly consider. As a result, he never responded to any of my call-outs. He seemed to just be playing with me, toying around with me. I don't know what kind of enjoyment he got out of it. I really don't. But it seems the only way I could get his attention was to then say, right, fine, you want to keep ripping my mask off, you want to attack me from behind, you want to be cheap like that, fine then, I'll put it all on the line. If I lose, you can have that pleasure of taking the mask off in front of everybody, and everyone can see my face for the first time.
All right, I have a number of questions. I'll get to some of them in a few minutes, but let me at least get to some comments in here. First, it is Hay here, so certainly somebody we know very well, obviously a staple who's a big fan of GT Ministries. We'll get to GT Ministries in a little while, and I know who this individual is, and certainly we had him on not too long ago, and he was in his own match with a guy, Connor Cage, where he kind of had a different streak, maybe more of a mean streak, and he says the Egyptian King Bay. Definitely, Uncle Ralph is tuned in from CCW, and CCW has a huge event coming up as well this Friday, which we'll be promoting, and we have an announcement for that in a little while as well. So, love Uncle Ralph from Top Tier, and I know you're going to get mad when I say this, but this is one of my favorites, Mr. Sportswire. Now, the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, who's, by the way, he's 5-0. He's 5-0, by the way. The intros are getting longer. And also Connor Cage, the aforementioned Connor Cage, who, by the way, is going to be in the ring with Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy coming up here this Saturday. He says, what a time to break the streak. You've got this, Horus. And certainly Connor Cage is coming off a couple of big wins in his own right over Killjoy, certainly the one I saw most recently. And he's had some big wins of late here. So Connor Cage doing some great things. Also, Mr. Robert DeCaro, also of the Society. So when will we lose a Wrestlebration and have to have the mask off? Will it be an improvement for you? So you know what? I'm going to go, forget about me. I'm going to let Robert DeCaro of the Society ask you that question, and I'll get your answer for it.
Well, I think that's the first time I've actually had something interesting come out of Robert DeCaro's mouth.
Ooh.
Will it be an improvement for you? What do you mean? Do you mean like in terms of my in-ring ability, or... I don't know. I don't think it will be an improvement. I think, if anything, it'll just hinder me, because I've been able to create sort of a following, almost, if you could say, behind this mask. It's more than just a mask. It's a symbol. It represents almost what you could say is the blood of UKW.
Absolutely.
I always consider myself, as you said yourself, Mr. Friday Night, I consider myself one of the staples of UKW Showdown, and that's not me being cocky or bragging. That's simply that I've always put in, 200 to 500%, 1,000% into every single match, every moment I'm in the ring and outside of the ring. I've put so much effort in, so much work to be where I am, and the commitment that I've put into UKW. Like I said, I'm going to be moving across to Batley just to be closer to UKW. So I'm completely uprooting my life and moving just so I can be there, just so I can prove that there is nothing that will hold me back.
I think that speaks to the character and the individual that you are here. And funny one in here, I think this individual knows who they are, and he'll be back also. Because I don't like to tell people who they are, kind of like with the mask thing. I never like to do it. There are some people who just go, well, okay, it's so-and-so. But we try to at least give that level of integrity here in Sportswire Radio. But DeCaro says the man who uses goth girl makeup. Well, I mean, I heard Joel Cobra say the Society are a Kiss tribute band. Now I hear it's goth girl makeup. So I guess we went from Marilyn Manson to Kiss here. And the lawman Kyle Kennedy, Mr. Sportswire, who, by the way, should he defeat Connor Cage, is back in the house Sunday night with us. So we're expecting Mr. Sportswire to be back with us here once again. Hoping Horus gets the W, not because I want him to win, but good God, no one would want to see what hides under that mask. You want to respond to that?
I mean, Kyle puts face paint on every time he goes out to the ring, so what does that have to say about how he looks?
Hey, I'm gonna plead the fifth. I got mutton chops, and so I'm gonna plead the fifth.
Hey, at least you pull them off. He looks completely idiotic when he's wearing his face paint.
Well, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that because we happen to sort of like Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy, and he does bring us ratings.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do.
But let me get to some other people that are more important than little old me. Yet even though you have put 1,000% each time in the ring, you still lose every time, Horus. You want to respond to DeCaro before I get to Jenny Hayes?
Well, to be quite honest with you, I'm not too. I mean, you can't really put this down to one thing, can you? Having all these different defeats, you've seen DeCaro. If you've paid any attention when I've been in a match, there's been multiple times at which I've had the pinfall, I've had the submission, I've had that tap out victory, and yet somehow, somewhere, even if it's the ref that's on somebody else's side under the Persian Empire's thumb, or
well, they have a dissension right now. The Persian Empire.
Well, if it's someone like Bishop or Leonie Rose or Johan Hunt getting involved, the stats speak for themselves. And regardless of what my losing streak is, DeCaro, you know for a fact that that when you and Remus Kane got in the ring with me, you were very close to having your shoulders pinned onto that mat. And only because you had two people were you able to beat me. I mean, that kind of says a lot about the society, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, that has been certainly one of the arguments that has been put out there, but I do want to give a very, very good shout out here to our very, very good friend, Jenny Hayes, who was with us a couple of weeks ago. And she says, that's dedication. I can't imagine UKW without you. And shout out to Jenny, because Jenny is all over the world, figuratively and literally, because we saw based on her Facebook page, you definitely want to follow her, Jenny Hayes Idol. She is the rock idol of the UK. All the great things that she is doing. She is literally worldwide. She is all over the place. And make sure that you follow her, because she's doing some great things. And she's also been at some really, really important places I've noticed of late. So certainly her being at Hyper Japan and all that great stuff that she's a part of, certainly look forward to all that here. Let me get to another comment.
Not only the music with Jenny Hayes, but she's doing absolutely terrific work with their announcing at NSAW.
Yep.
She, as far as I know as well, she is training to become a professional wrestler.
We spoke about that.
If that's the case, I wish her all the luck, and I can't wait to see what she does in the asylum.
Yep, we even spoke about with her and Beth Ann Jones. I mean, so that was some interesting stuff.
Two of the female trainees at NSAW.
Let me get to a comment here that I thought was kind of interesting, slightly off the topic, but I think you'll probably chuckle, or maybe not when I bring this up. That is, of course, Ben Hall, who does ring announcing in his own right for GT Ministries. And, of course, Ben Hall, the guy who famously got entered into the 30-person Rumble and just decided to eliminate himself, for good reasons, by the way. But he says, can I ask, I might have been stupid enough to sing to Rare, but he did also give him the glasses and did decide to walk away, probably smartly. Smartest thing anybody did, I think, all night there at the Fountain Church. But why did you not only kick Rarebit in the back of the head, but then proceed to slap Gareth Angel? Did you have a death wish in the Rumble? Also, Joel Cobra needs calling out for his hummus remarks. Not funny. Well, Joel Cobra was getting into trouble with different wrestlers I saw throughout the night there at the Fountains Church. So Mr. Cobra certainly, he might have his own wishes when he returns back to the ring. So I'll let Mr. Cobra speak for that, because obviously last time we saw him on Sportswire Radio with us in the comment section, he was going back and forth with Remus Kane. We kind of touched upon that. Obviously, Slugger Hampton, the history is well documented. So I'll let Joe decide for all of that for himself. But do you want to respond to some of the other things that Mr. Hall had to say?
Well, why did I kick Rarebit in the back of the head? I mean, Ben, you're a ring announcer, but if you were in my situation, if you were my size, up against Rarebit, and that guy turned his back on you, what are you going to do? You're going to take every opportunity.
Well, he said you could have ran away, maybe, like Ben Hall did. Ben Hall
I'm not a chicken. I stand up to. It doesn't matter how big and scary someone claims to be. You know, I'm not gonna. I've gone up against much bigger people than Rarebit. You know, the likes of Big Duncan, the likes of Rex Savage.
Oh, Rex Savage, we've seen him obviously in nonstop action wrestling. So Rex Savage is a big man.
You know me. I don't back down from any kind of fight, regardless of the size of the person.
I'll tell you what about Young Horus, and definitely everybody make sure if you're on Facebook right now, definitely go follow his page because he's definitely somebody that is not only going to be your Mr. Friday night, he might be everybody's Mr. Night at some point, whether it's Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you name him. He very well is on with his ring abilities to doing those things. But I mean, what I look at, and I said this before the first time he came on, he's 0-34, but you know what? You're still in the ring. You know, do you have to go out there mentally to be able to compete each time and still go out there? Yes. I know it's not a record to be proud of. Certainly, it's not Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy's streak, who, by the way, reminds me when he defeats Connor. And certainly, we certainly are expecting that for sure. But the point is that, you know what? You've gone out there each and every week. You've been on TV of a major, major company here that people watch from all over the world. You were out there each and every time. You're still on the card. You're still an important part of things. So the way I could look at it and spin it still at the end of the day is, yes, it's not a streak to be proud of. Yes, there are wrestlers. We know the society right now is certainly piling on. Ben Hall even has his comments, but you know what? You're still out there competing, and I think that speaks volumes to the character, again, of who you are.
I said this backstage to general manager Sid Phoenix at the time, and now I've also said it as well to the general manager Red Brocco of UKW.
Yep.
And I've said it to them, time and time again. There's a reason that they keep putting me on the card. There's a reason that they keep booking me on their shows. It's because people actually believe in me. I mean, it's okay going out there and having a wrestling match, but unless people actually get behind you and people actually organically care about you, you're not going to be a draw if people don't care about you, regardless of how good a match you put on. If people can't believe that you're actually a real person, if they can't get behind everything you're doing and being entertained by you, you're not important, regardless. And there's a reason why I'm getting put on the card every week.
Oh, no question about it.
There's a reason why I'm a Wrestlebration. There's a reason why there's a reason why I've had 34 matches in UKW.
Oh, no question. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like I said, you have to keep going out there. You are competing. So at the end of the day, you are definitely doing all those things. And I want everybody to continue to follow UKW on Instagram, Facebook, and especially YouTube, where you can watch Young Horus and along the likes of the wild card Tommy Dillon, who's a huge part of things at Nonstop Action Wrestling, and Mustafa Khan, who we've seen in GTM, and a number of different people. But I'm behind on comments, so let me get to some of them here. Obviously, we know who this individual is, but we'll say society. How many shots did you have at the UKW tag belts and not win them? Robert DeCaro chimes back in here once again. It's not our fault your partner bailed on you that night. Just made our job easier. But hey, your bitterness makes us happy. Jenny also gives you a shout out. Said that means a lot, man. Horace. Oh, that means a lot, Horace, man. Respect, dude. And Robert DeCaro again says, who are you again? Let me also get to Remus Kane, who's in the house, before I get to Connor Cage. I'll let you respond directly to Remus. So here's what Mr. Kane has to say. Then what happened when you went up against me on my own? You still couldn't get the job done. Are you talented? Yes. Are you good? Of course. But as many can tell, you aren't special. Without that mask, you would be forgotten. And I say that with as much respect as you deserve. Would you like to respond, Mr. Young Horus?
I think for the fact that he's constantly responding, that all of the members of the society have been putting their little quips in here and there, it just shows how much I'm in their head. And regardless of how many times they've beaten me before in the past, in a singles match or in a handicap match, they still think about me. And you can call it bitterness, but I just find that actually hilarious. That you guys would beat someone and then still care about them so much that you'd be basically hijacking these interviews, trying to get yourselves involved. I mean, if you were really that important, you'd be on here. You'd be talking to Tom Bryce right now, and it wouldn't be Young Horus.
Well, Young Horus is here because obviously you are a huge part of things at Wrestlebration 13 for sure. And certainly Mr. Kane was on here a couple weeks ago, and he had his own punishment he was dealing with back and forth with the comments, like I said, from Mr. Joel Cobra. So we'll certainly.
Well, I think regardless of what's happened in the past with the society, I think there's three of them. I could easily get 2 other guys who are actually going to commit to the date and actually turn up, and I reckon we could take them out easily.
Well,
We could
I'll
end
tell you what.
society, as you say.
Listen, anything is possible, and of course, again, I want to make sure that if you want to watch Young Horus, you can do that on great places like Fightbox, Fight TV, which, by the way, we do have a connection with our very good friend, Mr. Michael Weber, the Sports Channel Network, Pay-Per-View Live, and of course, UKW.TV is where you can follow all this great content. Go on the UKW page on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, YouTube especially, and UKW Network as well, where you can see content from the past and all the great things that UKW has to offer. Also, UK Wrestling Alliance for everything related to UKW. And Connor Cage jumps in here, and of course, Connor has been a huge staple of things in a number of different places right now, and he says, kind of reminds me of Kendo Nagaski, kept the mask until the end of his career, although I believe Eddie Guerrero also had his best moments when he lost his. Also, Rey Mysterio, I would also remind everybody, actually lost his mask in WCW for a couple of years. So Rey Mysterio also went without a
that
mask.
was WCW, wasn't it? So
Yep. Yeah, that was goofy. I believe also Juventud Guerrero, Uvi the Juice, also is another example of a wrestler that worked both with the mask and without the mask. And
I mean, you want to think of like a modern day example as well. You've got Andrade. He had a mask in Mexico, and he's since then removed it.
And I have to say, though,
he next on your list?
He was next on my list, and I have to say he was also next on my list because I just watched the I don't know if anybody's seen it or not here, and we'll get back to more commentary with Young Horus, but I just saw the build-up for Ric Flair's last match, and it's going to be Ric Flair and Andrade because obviously Ric Flair is the father-in-law now to Andrade because Andrade's married Charlotte Flair, and they'll be wrestling
what a power couple that is.
Yeah, what a power couple, and the interesting team of Jeff Jarrett, who's working for WWE now, and Jay Lethal, who's working for Ring of Honor and AEW. So I was watching the whole video.
What a strange turn of events, really.
Yeah, that's the most weird thing, and I believe the Crockett's are involved in that. So that's a wild, wild west of it. So I was kind of thinking automatically of some other masked people. And
JCP is actually running the match, isn't it?
Yep,
yeah, it's brilliant. I'm looking forward to it, regardless of what happens.
Well, before I get to some of the comments, are you sure you're looking forward to this? Because Ric Flair.
I'm looking forward to the entertainment value because I know for a fact that it'll be an entertaining match, regardless of.
I feel like though they made
what
it
happens,
but they made it a tag match when the other 3 guys in the ring are obviously going to shoulder much more of the load. I mean, Jarrett is still in very good shape. Jay Lethal is Jay Lethal, and you've got Andrade.
Of course.
So I mean, what are you expecting from Ric Flair?
I mean, I'm not expecting Ric Flair to go to the top rope and get caught and then thrown off.
He says he wants to, though. He said he wants to.
But that's what I mean. It could more than likely happen. It probably will happen with it being his last match. He's probably going to do something absolutely crazy. He's going to be bleeding like a stuck pig within the first 5 minutes. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be an absolutely crazy match. I'll probably be watching it with the same sort of anxiety that I watched the Stone Cold match with Kevin Owens.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
It's when Kevin Owens, he suplexed him on the outside, and every sort of fiber in my being kind of like crunched up.
I didn't think that would happen. That's a fair point.
No,
yeah, because
it was.
Yeah.
No, as soon as I saw him do that and get back up, and he seemed to be pretty much all right, I was very confident for it. So, I mean, surely you've seen the footage of him wrestling
Jay
Jay Lethal. In training,
an impact. Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
They showed it in the video montage. They actually showed which Jay Lethal beating Ric Flair on pay-per-view, which I forgot about. I mean, I knew they wrestled.
Yeah, but more recently they've actually they posted. I think maybe to Instagram they posted like a training video. I mean, he was moving like he was 40 years younger. I mean, there was no difference. So. But let's carry on.
I mean, look,
what's going on?
There have been instances. I mean, DDP a couple years ago went off the top rope. I mean, listen. I mean, Stone Cold did a very good job. I mean, there have been instances. So we'll see what happens. I mean, certainly nothing can be as bad as when, let's say, Bret Hart had his quote unquote match against Vince McMahon and a few others. So certainly, I expect something. But let's get to some more comments about Young Horus because he's the guy that's in his prime. He's the guy that I actually want to see wrestle each and every week on UKW TV. But Certainly, this individual here says, so much respect for you, Horus. As a smaller guy myself, you inspire me to train harder and adapt to my size. Would love to join you in the ring sometime soon. And if you never need backup, the Killjoy got you. So certainly that seems like that could be the case. Stay tuned. Well, I'm not Remus Kane's little puppy dog. And then we see here from him again, Robert DeCaro, are you? And kind of gives a wink. And also want to get to a shout out to my very good friend, Mr. Anthony J. Finkel, who, by the way, I'll be watching a wrestling show of coming up here Saturday night here. Actually, the first one I'm ever watching live. I've been to a few things, but more kind of on a convention level. WrestleMania is an example. But first ever match from a guy named Chris Urban, who, by the way, is wrestling for a company called House of Glory here in New York. And we'll be going Saturday night to watch him. And he says, rumor has it Goliath said he was going to eat Young Horus. Care to comment? Well, he might have said that, but Goliath right now is probably listening to Justin Timberlake Crimean River on like auto tune or auto replay over and over in loop mode. So I don't know how
He's
Goliath
definitely going through it as Goliath.
Yeah,
Rumor has it. Well, I assume they're just rumors. I think Goliath's got bigger things on his plate to deal with right now. I think he needs to go to like a group therapy session or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I tell you what, I don't know if we're ever going to see him again. I mean, after that interview, I mean, we all go through our own problems. But Young Horus, I mean, at least you're out there going about it and trying each and every week. And Goliath,
I mean,
you know what?
oh yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've had my own fair share of troubles and issues, and we all get through them. We've all gone through that sort of thing, and more recently, Paddy Pimblett. He just on UFC London. He just recently said, if any man needs to talk about anything, talk to somebody. Much rather be having a man crying on my shoulder than going to his funeral next week. It's definitely a very important subject that needs to be addressed. But and I only wish the best for Goliath, and I know for a fact that he's going to get through this and he'll come out even better on the other side. As for wrestling against Goliath, I mean, sure, I'd more than happily wrestle Goliath. I'd more than happily take him under my wing and teach him what I know, as far as I could do for him. If he ever needed a partner or somebody to talk to, tag team partner, or an opponent, I'm always there, regardless.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I mean, certainly stay tuned for that, and obviously we'll see if we've heard the last of Goliath. Something tells me. Stay tuned. Regardless, I have a good one before I get to more comments, and I don't know if this has been asked before, but we'll bring it up anyway. Where did you get the mask? I'd love one of my own.
I made it. Yeah, I made this myself. Yeah.
How did you pull that off, by the way?
I'm quite savvy with a sewing machine.
Oh wow!
Say.
Okay.
It sort of runs in my family as well. My parents quite good with textiles themselves.
Okay.
So it was definitely a long process of making it. I mean, I designed it. I probably want to say I designed it about 2 years prior to actually debuting.
Okay.
It was probably around the start of. I want to say it was the start of the COVID pandemic when we were all locked down. We were stuck inside, and I was just drawing, and it started from me just drawing lucha masks. I enjoyed, just ones of people that actually wrestle. So you got like Mystico and Hooversuit, like you said, Rey Mysterio, drawing all those different types. I was just drawing it for the sake of it because I was bored, and it sort of sprung to me. Why don't I try this whole masked gimmick, and let's try this and see how it goes.
Well,
works. Yeah, this is actually moleskin. It's a breathable material. With a leatherette, and I've just been stitched through.
I'll tell you what,
but I'm going to be making a new one future.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll make you chuckle because we had on a wrestler who also is a masked wrestler, and he's in the LWF, and he's the mysterious Mr. B. And your mask looks a lot more breathable than his because his mask looks like that. I don't know how he's getting oxygen out there. So your mask, I have to say, you definitely did a good job. We love the Mysterious Mr. B. Obviously, we definitely love all the great things he does. You can follow him on Instagram at the Mysterious Mr. B. But his mask looks like that would be kind of tough to wear.
Yeah, there's a few wrestlers who do wear, they have their eyes covered, they have their nose covered, their mouth covered. It's absolutely crazy. I've tried it before. and I was experimenting with different types of masks, different shapes and stuff, and it was definitely it's very restricting. The first time you get it on, I had to train for several weeks just to get used to it. I remember because I used to do I do a lot of sort of springboard work, rope work, high flying sort of stuff.
Yep.
I tried to walk across the ropes the first time I had my mask on, across the top rope,
Yep.
and I nearly fell off, to be honest with you, because it's just completely disorientating. Now I feel like I would almost be hindered if I do lose this match at Wrestlebration. I feel like it'll be more of a hindrance because I'm so used to wrestling in a mask now. If I'm then forced to be out of my comfort zone with all these people looking at my face, I don't know how it'll go for me.
Well, let's hope that you don't lose this match. Let's hope that you finally.
Oh no, I've got
win.
full confidence. I mean, I don't know if
good.
you've seen it, but I was training with the Genesis Wrestling Champion, Cliff Harrison. He was training me, doing some strength and conditioning work with him. We've been working in the ring. He's been teaching me a lot of stuff, a lot recently, and I've got all the confidence in the world that I'm going to go into this match at Wrestlebration. I'm going to beat Bishop. I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm not just a losing streak, and I'm not just a mask. I'm a fighting wrestler. I'm capable of much more than I've let on. And I know for a fact I'm gonna be walking out of Wrestlebration with my head held high.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, we certainly expect Young Horus to do those things. You can definitely like his page on Facebook as well here, but I need to get to many, many more comments because I'm behind. So I'll read off some of these just quickly. So Mr. Caro says, well, one of the reasons why you're always on UKW shows is because just like any battle war, they need cannon fodder. You ain't no exception, Horus. So that's
probably why he's got so many people in the society, surely then. He just needs people he can throw at, and then he picks the bones.
All right, touche. We see here, very, very funny Killjoy. Now get back to me when you actually win a match. I'll be waiting. And Supersonic Sammy, who by the way has his own stipulation coming up, reminds me, says, "Do you still want me bold?" Yeah, I don't know. Supersonic Sammy.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I don't think you'd look good bald, Sammy. I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree with this one here. Supersonic Sammy Blue and bald. I mean, there's a wrestler that actually seemed to have pulled it off that we know, Bob Costin in the LWF, and he pulled it off. But Supersonic Sammy Blue, I'm not quite sure if he can do that. And we have another good comment here. Goliath needs someone to hug with what he went through. Well, he said basically that he didn't get his job done. And
he can call Champ Rogers. I'm sure he'll give him a hug.
That's if we've seen Goliath since. I mean, it's been a while, and we've heard nothing from Goliath since then. So
no, as far as I know, he's not even turning up at the NSAW Academy. I don't know where he's gone. He's completely disappeared off the face of the earth, it seems.
He's pulling a Ultimate Warrior used to, where you see the Ultimate Warrior, you wouldn't hear from him for years at a time. So Goliath is on his way to being the next Ultimate Warrior in a bad way. And the lawman Kyle Kennedy, a.k.a. Mr. Sportswire, says, "Oh, that was touching, Horus. A serial loser wishing Goliath a fellow loser. Well, definitely two birds of a feather. I'd love to see you two team. And the name, well, how about Young Loses and Goliath?"
He spelt cereal like Kellogg's cereal, you know.
Maybe he had Kellogg's cereal just now. I guess
he just spelled cereal like that, man. I don't know. I'm a cereal loser, am I? Okay, where are my Cocoa Pops then? No, to be very serious with you, Kyle. Regardless of wins or losses, I'm gonna kick your ass one day. I know that for a fact. And why not team up with Goliath? Me and him could probably bulldoze the society quite easily. I mean, I don't think any one of those three have offered to wrestle against Goliath. I think they're scared of him, probably.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I mean, that could very well be the case.
Goliath wrestles the likes of Tommy Dillon and Gareth Angel.
Old school MC2. He made short work of old school MC2.
He wrestles NSAW trainees.
Hey, but he's got to win over Conor Cage, though, in the past.
Oh, yeah, he's beating Conor Cage, and that's going to be, I believe that's actually going to be fixed one day very soon. Kyle
Yes, it
Kennedy
is.
versus Conor Cage
This
at
coming
the Asylum.
Saturday. Yep,
I'm
this
very
coming
looking forward
Saturday.
to. I'm very looking forward to seeing Conor right that wrong
Well, I'll tell
and
you what. We'll
fixing
find out. Well, that's
and securing his place to the Fire and Gold tournament, man. Let's keep going.
Stay tuned. These are reasons why you need to follow Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube. Also, NSAW Official on Instagram as well here. And big respect. I don't think I can make my own, but huge fan of mass wrestlers. So thank you for keeping the mass going in British wrestling.
There's plenty of places that you can go get your mask made. I just happen to be very particular and finicky, and I wanted everything to be perfect. So I thought, right, well, I'm going to do it myself, as opposed to having someone else make it, and maybe the sizing wasn't correct or it just didn't fit perfectly to my face. I'm very OCD with those kind of things. So, I mean, there's plenty of places that you can find one.
Yeah, I'm sure you would know much better than I would here. And what am I to say? But Remus Kane does have something to say, and he says, "Say what you want about me, Horus, and make your passing remarks, Killjoy, but your false bravado means little to us. You may not like me, Horus. Believe me, it would not shock me. But whether you choose to believe it or not, I respect you. I just do not think you're anything special." You have a response?
Remus, I do respect you. I mean, I don't like you as a person. I don't like your methods. But I do respect you as a wrestler. And I know that you're capable of many things. But what you're not capable of is being on the Wrestlebration card this coming Saturday. Maybe there's a reason behind that. Maybe not only your attitude, but maybe you're just not that good. Maybe there's a reason that we don't see the Society versus the Persian Empire for the Tag Team Championships. Maybe you're just not that good. Maybe you're not that special, Remus. After Wrestlebration, I'm going to guarantee you everything you've just said is going to be thrown out the window. I promise you that. Because this mask isn't going anywhere. It's definitely not going into the possession of Bishop.
And Mr. Kane also responds here and says, I want to face Goliath. I have faced the wild card Tommy Dillon. I want to face Gareth Angel. Get your facts right. That's his response. So we also
when
see
it's done,
here,
then we'll talk. When it's done, then we'll talk. I faced Tommy Dillon too.
Let me ask you a follow-up question before I get to a couple more comments, because I should get to it here. Would it matter where you'd like to face a Remus Kane? Does it have to be in UKW? Does it have to be in NSAW? I mean, does it matter for you where?
Time or place, regardless, it doesn't make a difference. If I was given a choice, I'd love to avenge my loss at UKW.
All right.
If I have to go to the Asylum just to beat you up, that's fine by me. I'll make the travel.
I'll tell you what, very, very strong words here. And Conor Cage reminds everyone it'll be 5-1 after this Saturday. Stay tuned.
You know it will, Conor. I'm looking forward to that, buddy.
Conor was impressive.
Come on, boy.
We'll see. Conor was impressive. He was impressive against Killjoy. He was impressive against Cerebral Steve. So he's got some big wins. There's no question that there is some big wins here.
He's beat Cerebral Steve.
But
right?
Mr. Sportzwire has beaten Conor Cage already, and Mr. Sportzwire beat Mikey Future. He beat Mikey
Cal Kennedy versus Cerebral Steve.
And he's beat Champ Rogers.
I'd love to see that.
And he beat Champ Rogers, the super dad. He's got some big wins here, Mr. Sportswire. Mr. Sportswire.
No, Conor, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with you there, Tom. I know you're putting your money on Cal Kennedy for this win, but unfortunately, you're putting the Drake curse like there is in MMA. Whenever Drake bets on an MMA fighter, that fighter always loses. I guarantee you, if you put all your money on Cal Kennedy,
Drake shows up to anything, it's always bad, because he used to show up to other sporting events and it was always like the worst luck. But that's here nor there. Let me get to a few other comments in here from Robert DeCaro. You honestly think that you and the giant loser can bulldoze us? Ha ha. That's funny. Horus, you should be a comedian. Definitely a better comedian than a wrestler.
Hey man, just because I can do two things, I've got two skills. That's actually a compliment, if anything.
Well,
Robert,
Dolph Ziggler does both. He does comedy and wrestling. I mean,
you never know. You never know. Maybe I'll do stand up if I do lose this match at Wrestlebration. Maybe I'll go into stand up.
Well, I hope I'm not going to offend anybody here, but the running line is that you might make more money doing stand-up comedy than pro wrestling because we're friends, and Jenny Hayes will probably attest to it. But we're friends with the guy John Mack, J Mac, aka he's wrestled at a Future Shock and obviously the LWF, and he would tell us on the air that the money that he would make doing a gig would just far exceed the professional wrestling payment. Let's just put it that way. That's all I'm going to
Fair
say
enough.
with that.
Fair enough. Right
Yeah,
now,
so
right now
maybe.
the money's good. Right now the money's
Okay.
good for me, so I'm not gonna
Money's good
complain.
for you. Okay, I'm happy to hear that because I know with J Mac, he
Like I
told us
said,
on air.
regardless of my win and loss streak, like I'm still getting booked. Regardless of the fact that I've been wrestling for 11 months, it's been 11 months since my debut, and I've lost every single wrestling match.
But I'll tell you
Regardless
what,
of what company,
34
I'm still
matches.
getting booked. I'm still a draw. People still need me. I'm undeniable, and that's the fact. That's not me being cocky, as I've said before. That's me finally having confidence in something in myself that I can do this. This is like there's few things in my life that I've found such passion for and that I've actually talented at. So for me to be able to then say this, it's not cockiness. It's confidence and it's knowing my own ability.
Well,
I think if Robert DeCaro or Remus Kane had a bit more confidence in themselves, they wouldn't be hiding behind each other and the society. They'd be able to do what I'm doing and go out on their own and pave their own way, make their own path, regardless of who's with them or against them.
I mean, look, 34 matches. That's a lot of matches in 11 months. That's basically the one argument I
Well,
would
I'm
say
upwards
here.
of 50 matches, to be honest with you, across different promotions. Across 11 months, 50 matches, 5 promotions. It's to be honest with you, I'm getting so much experience in my rookie year. Like I don't know,
Well,
the
you ain't
sky's
a
the limit
rookie
with me
no
right now.
more. You got 11 months experience in close to
Oh,
50
I'd
matches.
consider. Well, it's my rookie year. I'd say this is my first year in the business. I'm looking forward to what's happening next year.
Well, I think what's the line that they use? I mean, Howard Stern used to use the line that you needed 100 hours of experience in order to speak in front of people. So you have 50 matches, which is almost, if you do the math, is kind of the same premise. So 50 matches just about kind of means, look, I'm not going to say you've had 10,000 matches like a Ric Flair, but 50 matches, you are at the point that, you're definitely advancing here. But let me get to some more comments because I'm
Well,
behind
that's the
on some
thing,
of
and
them.
like
So
I've
go ahead.
said, it's not. It's a matter of in British wrestling. You're very lucky if you wrestle for a company that does weekly shows, and
Oh,
that's what I am.
absolutely.
If a lot of the companies, maybe if you're lucky, they'll do a show maybe
Once a
once a
month.
month,
Once a month.
and so you've got like maybe 12 matches in your first year. I feel like, especially with the opportunities that UKW, GTM, Blackout Wrestling, NSAW, they're all giving me TNT Wrestling. With all these opportunities, like the experience, I feel like I'm getting so much in such a little time. And this isn't like I've just turned up and started wrestling a year ago. Like I've been training for like upwards of 5-6 years to get to this point.
You remind me of the guy that I'm going to see in the ring Saturday night, Chris Urban. Guy's been training for 5 years, but sorry, you know what? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And you did
Yeah,
those things. And like I said, it's still very impressive because,
and that's what I
you know,
think. I think a lot of people nowadays they kind of rush it almost. Like they start training and then like within a few weeks they're like, I want to get in the ring. I want to start doing shows. I want to start doing this. I've got this character. I've got this in my idea. I want to do this, that, and the other. I've got all these moves I want to do. That's cool. Learn the basics first. Like get
right.
everything
And
down
I think
first.
that the,
I
yeah.
got told that like I was told, oh, you should be doing your basic training sessions. So when I started training, they did basic sessions, advanced sessions, and I was told you need to be doing at least a year of basics before we're even going to consider putting you in advanced. That's for everybody. They didn't just say it specifically to me; they said it to the entire class. We should be doing. You should be at least getting all your, and that was basics was like your basic lockups, your basic technical wrestling. Like I didn't do a wrestling match. I didn't have like an actual wrestling match in a training environment for maybe a year and a half, 2 years after I started training, because you need to really hammer home the basics. And there's people who will say to you, there's a lot you need to learn. You can't just learn it within a few weeks. You can't just take a crash course and then become a wrestler. You've really got to put commitment in. And if you don't put in the commitment and put your priorities in the right place, you won't make it as a wrestler. And I've been
Absolutely.
told that plenty of times, and people have tried to make an example of me several times to say that you're not capable, you're not going to do this, and it just takes a lot of work. And I think a lot of people don't realize that it's actually like a skill. It's almost like if you were training to be an electrician, you couldn't just turn up, do a 6 week
It's an
course.
apprenticeship. Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, and I
Exactly.
have a
You can turn up, do a few months course, and then go, right, I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to do
look.
shows.
I'm a certified notary public, right? I
Oh, and
have
that's what I'm saying.
I have
But
the same
everybody
thing.
also learns at different
Right, you
speeds. Like
have to
that.
learn
That's what
from you have
I'm
to
not going
learn
to
from
deny
something.
that.
Right,
And
and I think that's what it comes down to here.
yeah,
So,
definitely. But
all right,
people need to almost slow down. I think people need to take it in their stride and realize that it'll come if they deserve the spot. If they're gonna become a wrestler, it'll come. You know what I mean?
no question about it. I got a bunch of comments because people want to hear
Oh,
from you. They
I'm
want to
sure.
respond back. That's why I want to get to some of them because I feel bad. Beth Ann Jones, and shout out to Beth, by the way. Beth's always doing some great things, and I see Beth training out there also and loved her war of words here with Jenny a few weeks ago. She says, no truer words spoken by Horus. Our friend Pride, also from GTM, says, we look forward to your match in Wrestlebration. You've always entertaining, a powerful presence, and an honorable fighter for sure. And Mr. Kane loves to speak, so I like to get his perspective. Big words from someone who's so easy to choke out. Say those words again to my face, boy, and let's see if you walk away alive. And you may make the travel to wherever you want to, but if I wanted to, I can easily find you and the ones you love and care for and break you all. Sorry, meaning me. I've yet to commit murder in the UK, but at this rate, Horace is going. That will change very, very soon. So, Mr. Kane saying that you better, as in the famous words away from Mike Tyson against Lennox Lewis, he may be coming for you and eat your children and eat your fill in the blanks heart. That's the most famous thing I kind of think that Remus Kane's coming across like now, right? As in your response.
Well, in the words of Muhammad Ali, I'm going to make you say my name in the middle of that ring.
I knew you'd be a boxing fan. I knew you'd get that one. For whatever reason, I knew you'd be a boxing fan.
Well, I'm a combat sports fan in general. I've always been interested in that sort of thing.
Okay,
I was
figured
doing
that.
martial arts at a young age. Never really got anywhere with it, but I was never really a hugely sporty person. But as I've grown up, wrestling's become my passion.
Okay, I can
But
see that.
Remus Kane, you speak a lot of big words. You speak a lot of confidence. You like to be very cocky. It's just words, man. It's just words. And I could come there and I could come to NSAW and I could say that to your face and you won't do a thing. Because you're not gonna beat me again. Simple as that. Once we get back in here's the thing. I've already thought this through. I've told you before. I take wrestling one match at a time, but I've had to really think this through. When it comes to Wrestlebration and this match where I put everything on the line, because I feel like if I lose this match at Wrestlebration, it's gonna be almost the end of Horus. Because I couldn't identify as Horus anymore because I wouldn't be Horus without this mask. So I considered it very, very carefully, and I believe that I'm going to walk out of Wrestlebration still as Young Horus. This mask isn't going anywhere. Bishop isn't going to take this off me. I'm going to become it's going to become the first time I ever win a match in my wrestling career. And after I've done that, I'm going to come for every single person who ever beat me. Whether that's tap out, disqualification, handicap match, singles match, pinfall, or submission, I'm still going to avenge every single defeat that I've had at UKW.
Well, I hope
Remus
that's the
Kane,
case.
if you want to be at the top of my list after Wrestlebration, I will more than happily oblige.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you hear from Young Horus, I highly encourage that you follow him on Facebook. You also follow Nonstop Action Wrestling, also UKW, also our very dear friends over at GT Ministries UK. And if you like what you hear from us on Facebook, I hope that you give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. And also, I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Got about another 20 or so minutes here with Young Horus. He's a very, very busy man. A lot on his mind, a lot on his plate between Bishop, the society, who knows what else in between. Ben Hall even jumped in here. So a lot of people have wanted a piece of Young Horus, but Young Horus, something tells me here, he's focused on the task at hand that is Wrestlebration 13. Our friends over at UKW, and what a card that is. Will we see the fall of the Persian Empire? It seems like we're inching closer to that. We'll certainly see.
Fingers crossed. And fingers crossed,
Horus,
we see the fall of the Persian Empire. I know for a fact Mustafa Khan, he's got 2 matches that night.
He's in trouble, Mustafa Khan.
He's got 2 matches that night.
Trouble.
One against JPR. Oh, sorry. One against JPR, one against Jonathan Sedgwick.
And Jonathan Sedgwick already holds a victory over Mustafa Khan already.
I don't see the UK Wrestling Heavyweight Championship going home with Mustafa
Khan right now. Let me tell you something. Mustafa Khan right now, I saw him in GTM. Jack Johnson disposed of him. I saw what Jonathan Sedgwick did to him. He beat him. I saw the Persian Empire, their troubles. Something tells me here JPR is going to be out for blood because we saw what happened to JPR last month and his attacker. We still don't know what's going on with that. And we're going to get JPR on one of these days. So we apologize. We were supposed to have him on, but he had a scheduling conflict, and we want to be respectful of his time. So certainly all of that here. But Young Horus is going to be the guy that I have a very, very good feeling about is going to get the job done here. And I got more comments from Remus Kane, but I really want to go back to UKW for a second. And I know how much this match means to you. I've heard about the match. I've heard about the story. I've heard about all these things. But I want you now to directly speak to Bishop. I want you to say your words to him. This could be your final words. Maybe you guys get words on TV. I'm not quite sure what they'll do for Friday on that. But I want to give you the floor here, at least on Sportswire Radio. And I give you the floor, Young Horus. And what do you want to say before Saturday night at the UKW Arena to your opponent, Bishop, about this match, which is very well going to be changing, quite possibly, the face, figuratively and literally, of your career?
Bishop, you crossed the line. You took all of my respect. You took all of my pride, my honor, and you've just thrown it down the drain. Regardless of what happens at Wrestlebration, I'm not going to be the changed man. Because I'm going to fight with every ounce of my being. And I'm going to show you that you can't pick on me just because you think you can. Just because you think you're a bully and you're a bigger person than me. You're just another mountain to climb over. And I've got all the equipment in my backpack. I'm going to get over your mountain. I'm going to absolutely destroy you at Wrestlebration. I'm going to walk out of there still Young Horus, still with this mask. I promise you that. I guarantee everybody that. Because I'm not done as Young Horus.
Something tells me he's definitely not done. And you can watch Wrestlebration 13 coming up this Saturday. You can watch it on great places like Fight TV, Fighting Box, Pay-Per-View Live. I mean, there is so many ways. YouTube, you'll see it eventually. I mean, there is a lot of great ways you can watch Wrestlebration 13. You better do it. You also can watch YouTube, all the shows each 2 weeks. And again, such a special company because you think about how many companies, as Young Horus pointed out, do weekly shows in the UK. It's very, very few that do.
Probably count them on one hand.
Progress is one of them, right? Progress is one, I think. Progress,
Coventry Pro Wrestling, UKW. Does CCW do it as well?
No, CCW does. So they're actually, well, sort of.
They do regular shows. They're quite a regular company themselves.
They're doing 3 shows.
Evesham, they do a weekly. Yeah. They do a weekly. As far as I know, Evesham Wrestling do a weekly showcase.
But it's very few.
So
We're talking.
it's very few, very
It's a
few, and
handful.
considering how many different places there are to wrestle in the UK, you're hard pressed to find somewhere that does it as regularly as UKW or anywhere else.
Let me go back to GT Ministries for a second because I want to talk about that because obviously we heard a little bit about the Rumble, the whole thing with Rarebit. It wasn't shown on TV, obviously, and Ben Hall's comments, but
I
obviously
think they removed it because it was too violent. The way he threw me into the out of the ring.
Well, I have to say, until you alerted it to me when I remember watching on the stream, I'm pretty sure because I was watching it live, and I obviously want to give a shout out to management for all of their support of Sportswire Radio, and Blue Glasses Girl as well does a great job. But I didn't think I saw you actually on the actual live stream get eliminated. And you actually told me that it wasn't shown. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I thought you were. And then I think we got you mixed up with somebody else. And I think there was an elimination right around the timing of when you got eliminated. Maybe that was why the camera angle didn't point that out, amongst other reasons.
There was an entrance when I got eliminated, so it was just bad timing with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's unavoidable, but I reckon management saw it was too violent and too extreme of an elimination. Rarebit's a horrible person.
He's the BTW champion, and listen, he's the BTW champion. He's got that weird situation.
As we need to censor Rarebit as much as possible, really, and make sure that he doesn't show up on the GTM cameras as much as possible.
Well, I don't think Jack Johnson wants him to show up either, because Jack Johnson has a hard enough time reining him in for his own right. So I think Mr. Johnson even would agree with you on that.
Well, in a way, I can sort of, I hate to say this, but I can sort of empathize with Jack Johnson because I was in a very similar situation that he's been in multiple times against Rarebit, and he's a very he's a difficult man to knock down. But as you saw, one strike, one kick, and I dropped him like a sack of potatoes he is. And I guarantee you, if I'd have managed to kick Gareth Angel in the head just as hard as I'd kicked Rarebit, he would have dropped just the same.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you on, because obviously we know we have a wrestling church coming up in a couple weeks, but obviously the big event is coming up, which is Chronicles. And obviously we saw numbers. You were a huge part of it at the 30-person Rumble, all that stuff, right? But Chronicles is upcoming. We saw the first person announced to the Stairway to Heaven match, which is our guest last week, Slugger Hampton, one half of the CCW Tag Team Champions, the Working Class Militia. But I mean, what are your goals in GTM? Do you want to be a part of GTM again? Do you have anything to say to anybody in there? Obviously, we spoke about you and Gareth, you and Rarebit, but I mean, anything you want to say to management or anybody else there, maybe to kind of stake your place in that company going forward?
Well, as far as I know, I've never been in a ladder match. So there's always a first for that. I've done steel cage matches. So I've done stipulation before. I guarantee you, if you put me in a ladder match, there wouldn't be any regrets. I'd be holding the title by the end of the night. But if that's not the case, someone like Rarebit, who wants to get in my face and pretend to be my friend, wants to... I mean, why? Who gave that man a tambourine? What was he doing in the Rumble? The Rumble, you're supposed to be wrestling, not playing music. I know at GT Ministries, I know at the wrestling church events they have a
live band.
I didn't know Rarebit was in that band. I didn't know he was musical. So I throw it, and then he comes and he grabs me and he eliminates me. It's childish behavior from a very childish man. He's a man-child, simple as.
I have to ask a question. I have to back up for a second, because I have to almost as a follow, because the way I'm hearing you speak about Rarebit, and I heard Remus Kane, I heard the battle lines drawn from there. I know everything about Bishop, but I almost have to throw it out there, Young Horus. And I know that you're a guy that you stand up for what you believe in. You're a guy with a thick skin. You certainly speak your mind, but I have to ask, I mean, are you almost implying that coming up, whether it's at Chronicles or anywhere else, that you might want a piece of Rarebit one-on-one?
I've never had the opportunity at GTM to be able to showcase how good I actually am. When you think about it, I wrestled Leonie Rose in my debut match, and I wasn't even booked for that show. She put up an open challenge. I just happened to be in the back, so I said, Fine, I'm wearing my mask. I'll go out and do it. I'll nearly beat her. I wasn't fully prepared. I'll admit that. I wasn't fully prepared to have a wrestling match. But I need an opportunity to knock someone down, to show how good I am. So maybe I don't deserve to be in the ladder match at Chronicles. Maybe because I haven't shown my worth yet. What a better way to prove your worth than to knock someone down as big as Rarebit, the BTW champion.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen here, something tells me here Rarebit and Young Horus would be a really, really intriguing match. And it might be one of those matches that something tells me in that Rarebit might be getting a lot more than he would bargain for. So something tells me here
100%. 100%.
That's a match.
You wouldn't have to deal with the ratty nature of Jack Johnson.
Salford. I want to remind you, he's from Salford, by the way.
Oh, sorry, not ratty then. The Salford nature of Jack Johnson.
Salford. Just
you wouldn't have to deal with that. No, you'd have to deal with actual talent in the ring and actual wrestling ability. Not someone who's going to scrap you and hit you from behind. Well, I will hit you from behind, maybe. But not someone who's going to hit you
Yeah,
with
you
a
did kind of do
behind.
that at the Rumble. You did kind of do that at the Rumble.
Hey, it's every man for himself in a Rumble, but I'm not going to go...
Yeah, I'll give you that much.
I'm not going to attack Rarebit from behind with a lead pipe. I'm not going to choke him out with a chain like Jack Johnson did to Mustafa Khan. I'm going to use my own body to beat the hell out of Rarebit.
I'm going to defend Jack Johnson on one thing. He opened my eyes, though, and how impressive he was against Mustafa Khan. And I know it has nothing to do with anything, but since that moment, I kind of feel like Mustafa Khan has never been the same. So if Mustafa Khan's going down this weekend, it should be thank you, Jack Johnson, because Jack Johnson was the guy, in my opinion. I know they have nothing to do with each other, but the wheels were kind of in motion because of that. That's just my thoughts. Doesn't mean it to be accurate. Doesn't mean it to be true, but that's just my opinion on it. I'm sticking to it. Those are my facts here.
Well, I think Mustafa Khan's got a lot on his plate right now. Not only has he got all of his matches at Wrestlebration, but as it seems, maybe the Persian Empire isn't as united as it seems.
They don't seem like it. Listen, the last couple of weeks on TV, I mean, I was watching.
You can see it. You can see the cracks are forming. And I said it. Not only have I said it, people like commentator Brett Hadley have said it. Shelby Sinars said it. Every week they've said it. It's not going to last forever.
No,
and eventually, all empires fall.
No, listen, I mean, the NWO fell, the Horsemen fell, the Generation X. I mean, we'll see how long the Bloodline lasts. I mean, the Elite have had their issues. I mean, listen, Main Event Mafia had their issues. I mean, you can go up and down the list.
Every single faction. That's one of the reasons why I don't like to align myself with people. Is because I found that every alliance, regardless, maybe not in modern terms. Like, you know, you've got FTR. They've promised that they'll never break up. I mean, at times the Dudley Boys said they were never going to break up. I'm sure the Hardys have said they're never going to break up. Edge and Christian did the same thing. Exactly. If you've never seen two, I mean, if two brothers end up falling out and wanting to kill each other, why would you want to put any trust in somebody else to have you back?
Yeah, you go up and down in wrestling history, and it's very, very few that stay together. Let me
look at the society of all people. Of all people, that is the most volatile group I have ever come across.
And they've responded, by the way. They have comments.
Of course they have. Of course they have.
They just heard. They said, "I'd love to see Rarebit just rip your head off." With the mask still on, by the way. So he wants the mask. So they're rooting for you to win, at least. That's the bright side. They're rooting for you to win. And Mr. Sportswire says you can keep the society off that list. And for now, so far, so good.
Kyle's scared. You've seen that right there. My list of people I'm going to get my revenge on. And he said, no, you can keep the society off that list. Well, unfortunately, Kyle, you've already been put on the list. You can consider it a hit list. I'm coming after every single one of you. And there's nothing any three of you can do. Whether I'm doing it by myself and I take you out one by one, or I get a couple of people and we all beat you up. And we all get a revenge from me. I'm going to get what's mine.
And Connor Cage jumps right back in and says, especially when empires are built around one person. And that is
I'm
certain.
really surprised that Mustafa Khan hasn't called himself like Emperor Khan or something like that, or something along the lines. You know what I mean? He hasn't got himself like a crown and a big Napoleonic type
I don't know if a crown could
celebration
fit his
to
head,
crown.
though. Listen,
I
I don't
guess
know.
you'd need to commission some very, very. You probably need about
I'm surprised he even fits into
half a
his
dozen
gear.
blacksmiths just to.
Listen,
Well, I can promise you, he orders that specially from your 5XL websites, and because
no, I'm sure
they
of
don't have
that.
that
Listen,
size in the UK. I'm sure they across in America they do actually have a few. I've been there a couple of times and they have like 5 and 6XLs.
listen,
You
they
don't
have
get that
eight.
rarely
Listen,
in Britain.
you know why they have it? And I hope my American listeners don't really want to kill me after this, but that's because all the Americans, or many of the Americans, are obese and all they do is eat, eat, eat. So that's why
Well,
America.
I'm not gonna agree nor disagree with you there, Tom. But
My
I
English
will
listeners will
admit.
love hearing that just now. I
Oh
am
no,
sure.
I will admit that every time I've been to Britain, every time I've been to America, the American population are actually like they're taller and bigger built. I don't mean like they're obese. I mean they're physically bigger humans, because maybe it's just a national thing. Maybe because I'm pretty sure the average height in America is something like between 5'7" and 5'11". It's a
Yeah, I
lot
think
lower. It's a lot lower in
5'11".
Britain. There's a lot more shorter people in Britain. So
No, I tell
maybe
you
it's
what,
just
I
that.
know
Maybe it's that.
people though who are coming on, and in fact, one of them was coming Thursday night here before we get to closing thoughts. Who's definitely tall, he's definitely big in a way that he's muscular, and he was also at the Rumble, and he was very, very close to winning that number one contendership to Jack Johnson, and his name is
Let me
Disciple,
guess. There we
and
go.
he's coming
I'm
back.
sure he is. Yes, but you've got to understand that someone like Disciple's very rare in British wrestling.
But he's
There's
back.
someone like I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting interview. I'm going to tune in for that, Sean. You'll probably see me in the comment section at some point.
Oh, I know
But like
I
I
will,
said,
because Disciple's back, and he's an exception to the rule in the UK. And in fact, he's an exception to even the American rule, because this man, listen, I would love to see one of these days, if you get through Rarebit, let's put you in Disciple, because let me tell you something. Disciple,
yeah,
this is the guy. You know, I hear people talk about they want that their stakes to the GTM championship and the NSAW championship and this company's championship. Well, look at Disciple. Check his videos on YouTube. He's back. Disciple Wrestler. Go to his page, Disciple Wrestling Instagram. Go to all his pages, because this man was a movie star. He was a Rumble winner. He was a world champion. He was on BBC. This is the guy. I can't wait to speak with him Thursday, because we're getting him on, because, yes, he'll talk about Young Horus. He'll talk about whoever else. But this man, he wants his stake at that GTM championship. He wants Gareth Angel. He's got unfinished business with him, and I can't wait to get to that. But certainly, the lawman, Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy, says, more Disciple. Brilliant. That's what people want. He kind of shakes his head. So I'm sure that Mr. Disciple will hear that. And Disciple, listen, he doesn't matter whether you like him or you dislike him. He's in the business for Disciple. So something tells me here that Disciple ain't going to really care about what Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy has to say. So that's certainly his points.
of all the
And
people at NSAW, probably Disciple is one of the more premier athletes. He's definitely one of the better people to learn from. He's definitely
absolutely.
one of the more bigger inspirations for the guys there.
I think it's him and Tommy
If I was
Dillon.
to wrestle a Disciple, like I'd be a sponge at that point. I would just
Oh,
absorb all of
absolutely.
the information from him. I'd be watching his matches from years ago to study everything he does and to come up with a way that. But not only that, in the moment wrestling him, it'd be like a lesson in itself, regardless of win or loss. That's something that I've always emphasized every time I wrestle. I'm not about wins and losses. Yes, I'm going into Wrestlebration determined to get this win, because I have to, because my career almost depends on it.
Well, yeah,
But
it does right now.
for these last 34 matches at UKW, they've all been a learning experience. I wouldn't have expected to go into UKW and start on a winning streak, beating every single person. because
Well, I
that's
mean,
it's
Kyle Kennedy
unrealistic.
has
It's an
started his
unrealistic
career
idea.
undefeated. I mean, Kyle Kennedy's he's 5-0.
Kyle Kennedy, he's not wrestling the type of people I am. Yeah, he's wrestled
No.
Tommy Dillon. He got a lucky win. Kyle Kennedy's never shown up at UKW. He's hidden away from people who are actually a threat to him. Look at the size of Conor Cage compared to Kyle Kennedy. Like he goes after people. He targets people who are a lot smaller than him. That's probably why he's talking so big in the comments right now. He wants to target people who are smaller than him. Who
So you're
doesn't see
gonna
as a
say
threat.
then? So you think Conor Cage is gonna beat Mr. Sportswire this Saturday?
He's definitely going to get. He's definitely going to give him a run for his money. I guarantee you this. Conor Cage has not forgotten that loss. He definitely wants to avenge that, and he's going to throw everything at him because he doesn't want to be eliminated from the
But
tournament.
did
Before
you
the
see
tournament
though in
even
the
began.
Rumble how Mr. Sportswire it took literally every person in that Rumble?
No, I
GTM?
didn't because I wasn't there because he was already eliminated before I even entered the ring. So he clearly wasn't that effective in the Rumble, was he?
Well, he eliminated Supersonic Sammy Blue, and he and Juggernaut went at it though.
This is what I'm saying. He targets the people who are smaller than him.
Juggernaut though he traded a lot of punches.
Juggernaut had to. He was the one who initiated the conflict. Juggernaut approached Kyle. Kyle didn't approach Juggernaut.
He traded punches
because he was forced
Angel.
to. Because he was forced to. I guarantee you.
Okay. All right. So you know
Kyle
what?
Kennedy isn't the type of person to call out someone like Juggernaut. He's not going to call out Goliath. He's not going to call out Gareth Angel. He's going to wait until Mixed Knights says, "Oh, I'm gonna pull my strings in management, and I'm gonna put you against the smallest guy I can possibly find with the least amount of training."
Well, my friend, Mr. Disciple, who, by the way, is coming back Thursday night, I believe either before or after the number one contender to the CCW championship, that is Jack Bartley. So Jack Bartley, we will get him literally 24 hours before he very well could be the next CCW champion. And Disciple is going to be in the house with us. And he says here, Young Horus, good to see you. Hope our paths cross soon, one day. I mean,
I'm looking forward to that moment. I'm looking forward to that time.
And I want to add also on Disciple, by the way, that Johnny Cash music, he's got to be one of the only wrestlers that actually can come out to a song like a Johnny Cash or even have a licensed song. So that shows you, Disciple, just how important Disciple is. And something tells me here, Gareth Angel is going to cross paths with Disciple because...
Well, that's what I respect, though. That's what I respect out of someone like Disciple. Disciple can be big and scary and mean, and he can intimidate everybody he wants, but he shows respect.
But he's got the backup to do it, and he's shown his career.
And he does, yeah, exactly. And he's done it by himself. He didn't need...
That's true.
He doesn't need a society. He doesn't need
I agree with
attack
you
dogs.
on that.
He doesn't need a lawman to do what enforce his will.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
His own man.
And Disciple also makes a great point here, which I could not have agreed to hear more. I still see no announcements of the Fire and Gold tournament. I mean, where it's Fire and Hold. Maybe it is seen. You know what? It seems to be Fire and Hold because it seems like we're holding our fire when it comes to who else is being in this tournament. And I've got Young Horus right here, and I've got Disciple right here, and they've said maybe they'll cross paths one day. So I would say to whoever is listening, whether it's Joshua Snow, whether it's Mixed Knights, I mean, I don't know, Disciple and Young Horus. I mean, I saw Tommy Dillon and LRB are going to be wrestling with each other. I mean, so how about Young Horus?
Of all the things as well, yeah. Why put a tag team into the tournament? A tag team for a tournament for a singles championship.
Do you think that was done purposely to divide and conquer?
I don't know. Maybe this was all Mixed Knights' decision. Like I say, maybe he's pulled his strings. Maybe the society's been threatened.
But Disciple, but you know what? I look at Disciple, and I know certainly you're going to have your hands full Saturday, but Disciple has been in the ring with the Knight family. Disciple has defeated the Ronin Brian Aidenson. He's defeated the Playboy Prince Lance Rivera, who for a short time, still doesn't matter, it's in the record books, was the Wrestle Island World Champion. Disciple's
I had
BBC.
him running as well. I had him running at Exordium.
I know. Listen, Disciple, let me tell you something. Disciple has been on movies. He's been on national television, the BBC. I mean, this is a guy I would expect I would just have put him as the first participant to be announced. I mean, that's just my standpoint. And we had him on here, and he made that point also made. So, I mean, to me, I would think that Disciple would be.
You've got a really good point, Tom. You've got a really, really good point. Like, I think NSAW management should be almost stepping up the pressure right now.
Joshua Snow, speaking of stepping up, he apparently has heard the message loud and clear, and he says, we apologize for the lack of announcements, people, but I promise we'll be announcing others very soon. And also, he wishes you luck.
People like myself and people like Disciple, we should have been the first considered. We've been there since day one.
That's a good point.
Is a massive,
I would like to see you in the tournament. I would like to see you in it.
I should be in that tournament. Don't you think?
I tell you what,
I should be in the tournament.
I would have no problem with that. I would love to see you in the tournament. Listen, if it was up to me, I would have as many participants as possible. I mean, I would love to see you in this tournament.
If not in the tournament, put me on the Battle Royal. I'll knock everybody out of it and prove that I deserve to be the number one contender for the Fire and Gold.
Long as you knock out Dante Okara. I hope I'm not getting in trouble.
It's not going to be difficult to throw Dante Okara out of the ring. He throws himself out half the time.
Well, I'm going to plead the fifth on that one. I'm going to certainly, I'm not going to incriminate myself on that, but certainly we'd love to see, obviously, yourself, Disciple. And we will have more coverage of Nonstop Action Wrestling then coming up here this Thursday with Disciple. And we'll also be back next Tuesday with Supersonic Sammy Blue. So we'll have a lot to say with Supersonic Sammy Blue.
That'll be another entertaining interview. Yes. That was a very good. I enjoyed the first time you guys spoke.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get into some GTM with him. We'll get into some NSAW, obviously, the stipulation that we spoke about here. So a lot to get into here with Supersonic Sammy Blue. So very, very excited about all that stuff here. But I want to give you the floor now, my friend. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything that you want to plug or share or say, and I turn it over to you. Any social media plug. Also, some merchandise. Plug where we can buy some merchandise from. We got some shirts out there that we need people to buy. I know I'm on the list. I plan to buy one here in the next week or so. So definitely look forward to doing all that stuff here. So I turn it over to you. Anything you want to plug, share, say, and the floor is yours. And fire away, my friend.
Well, guys, I haven't got anything physical right now to be able to show you. But if you check out the Young Horus page on Facebook, there's a new merchandise coming out, especially for Wrestlebration. If you guys pre-ordered it before Wrestlebration, you're going to be able to get that on the night. If not, you guys can message the page and we'll be sorting that out for you guys. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Young Horus on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram or Twitter. I'm kind of like an old soul in that way. But you guys can see me at Wrestlebration 13 this Saturday, where I'm going to face Bishop. If I lose, I'm going to let him take that mask off in front of everybody in the audience, and they can all see who's behind it. But I can guarantee you I'm not going to let that happen. Bishop's crossed the line. And unfortunately, there's no going back now, Bishop. You've entered your own nightmare. I'm going to be at NSAW. If I'm not in the Fire and Gold tournament, there's going to be hell to pay. And I guarantee you, whatever the society want to say, I can fix that as well. They want to talk big. I'm going to shut them up. You guys can see me at GTM maybe in the future. If not at Chronicles, I definitely want to face Rarebit in the future. That's a guarantee. And as you said as well, Disciple, I want to face Disciple in the future. That's a guarantee. Maybe not in the near future, maybe it has to be next year, but it's going to happen. You guys are going to see a lot more from Young Horus in year 2 of the Young Horus career. Let's go, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, something tells me that Young Horus is on a highway to hell. He's on a highway to hell. And Bishop could be going down and down and down, because it seems like here Young Horus is definitely on a mission. You definitely want to follow him on Facebook. You definitely want to follow GT Ministries UK on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, UK, GT Ministries UK for all their great stuff. NSAW Official on Instagram, Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube, where you can watch NSAW Asylum and all the great stuff that the company has to offer, including obviously the first ever pay-per-view, Christmas Carnage, and you can see Exordium's coming up in the future, and All great stuff from the company. You see footage and Mr. Sportswire Kyle Kennedy's page on YouTube where you can see a lot of NSAW coverage and entertainment. Also, make sure that you also follow UKW. Please follow them on YouTube. Almost 6,000 subscribers. Also, Facebook as well, several thousand subscribers. So make sure you follow all those great places. And Robert DeCaro says, we'll be waiting for you, Horus. And Mr. Sportswire says, no, I've been here since day one. You freaked you masked freaks. And that lanky grinch saw the noise NSAW was making and wanted a piece. So certainly here is Mr. Sportswire. We could be speaking with him next Sunday here. So we might have more coverage here.
Well,
so
I don't think that NSAW would have been where it's at right now without Disciple. He's definitely created the buzz at NSAW. I think he's underplaying, he's underappreciating the sort of the eyes that Disciple's bringing into
well,
NSAW.
if I'm not mistaken, this all stems from a few weeks ago when I think Disciple said he was running a training session, and I think the lawman Kyle Kennedy, Mr. Sportswire, was quoted as either he didn't show up or he was late. That's what I heard, or that's
if anybody could learn from Disciple, it'd be Kyle Kennedy.
Well, I mean, we'll find out.
If anybody needs to turn up to a training session by Disciple, it's Kyle Kennedy.
Well, I mean, certainly we hope, though, that we have him on Sunday, and he tells me that we'll be speaking to him. So certainly, in the famous words of John Wick, hopefully we'll be seeing you, Mr. Kennedy, here on Sportswire Radio. And if you do like what you hear from us, give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/play. Well, my friend, I'm rooting for you here Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to having you back on after you get the first win. So I can't wait to speak with you after you win on Saturday. We'll have a lot to talk about. I think we'll have a career that's going to go on a different trajectory here coming up here after this win. I can't wait to see that. So invitations already being extended to you for next week at some point. We'll work out the details in time, but we'll definitely get you on here after you win. So I got a feeling that we're going to continue to see you with the mask. So let your heart not be troubled. We're going to get a win here. Keep up the good work. Go get him out there. Let's see you on Friday. But can't wait for Wrestlebration 13, and we'll speak with you next week then.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's been a pleasure as always. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, listening to me ramble for the last hour and a half. I appreciate it, guys.
It was fun. Listen, it was fun. A lot of people were tuned in.
Batley at Wrestlebration 13. I'm really looking forward to it. I know that I'm going to go in there 100% and fully determined to win this match. And you guys are going to see me next week with that mask on, I promise you. If not, maybe it's the end of Horus. Maybe I got to go down a similar road to Goliath.
Well, let's hope it's not that shit. Let's not hope Justin Timberlake, Crimea River is playing. Let's hope not REM, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it. Let's hope not, because that song always rings a bell in my head. So let's hope not.
No, we're going to be having Celebration Time playing, definitely.
Well, Cool and the Gang is set.
It's gonna be, yeah, exactly.
We'll
yeah, it's gonna be great. It'll be interesting to
Queen. Listen, how about Queen? We are the champions.
We are the champions. Maybe we'll have to save that one for if I ever win the belt.
All right.
If I ever win the Genesis Wrestling belt or the TV Championship or even the Heavyweight Championship, we're definitely gonna be having.
I'll tell you what. I can't say that I'm a Freddie Mercury, but I'll definitely at least try something. We'll try something.
Oh, I would love that. I would love to hear your Freddie Mercury.
That's
for a future show, definitely.
We'll see, but obviously, if you are on Sportswire Radio, I thank you for tuning in. We will be back here Thursday night with a lot to get into here because we will have Disciple. We will also have Jack Bartley, the number one contender to the CCW World Championship. So we'll certainly have a lot to get into here. So I'm excited for all of that. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here of Sportswire Radio. The Reverend Tom Bryce is with pro wrestling star here, Young Horus, before the biggest match of his career, coming up against Bishop in a streak versus mass match. So certainly a lot to get into here, but I got a feeling he's going to get the job done here. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. We will be back here Thursday night around 8:30 p.m. on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station.